All right, so we're here with Jeff Ringley, and I love your sound, buddy. So we wanted to do a video on it, and I think it's just as well we share it with everybody else too. But so the video is called, basically the theme of this is finding your Carvin sound, and I know you've been after it for quite a while.
Yeah.
So before you even play, I want to ask you about that towel in between the head and the cabinet. What's going on with the two towels, I should say?
Okay, well, I have the towels there because I don't know if it's just this particular cabinet. I have two vintage 30s on the bottom, and I have two Celestion G12 T75s on the top. So like I said, I don't know if it's just the size of the cabinet, but it was rattling and shaking the reverb tank. And when I would play, you would just hear this, I guess, just cracks. And like the sound if you move an amp with a reverb tank, you hear that crashing sound. And that's what it was making every time I would strum a big chord. And so I put the tails there and it worked like a charm. And right now, I'm keeping them there.
So that's enough of an insulator that the head itself doesn't, or the cabinet doesn't rattle the head, right? Is that what's happening? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to ask you that. All right, so before we go any further, why don't you play a little something for everybody? Let them hear the tone you've been working on. I guess something clean and then something dirty?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear that. Right. Let's hear that. So I noticed that well, first of all, the clean tone is very, very clean, very in your face. I love it. And then second of all, I noticed that the dirty tone is very tight. You know what I mean? It's a nice, tight sound. It doesn't seem to get away from itself. You know? And I also noticed, too, that when you're playing with a real dirty sound, I can hear the top end and the bottom end of the chords, which is really nice, too. I can hear all the notes within the chords that you're playing. It doesn't get covered up. It doesn't get washed out, which is really nice.
Right.
So let's talk about it. So your head, let me ask you, who'd you get to work on it? Because I know there was somebody we like around this area a lot.
Yes.
That worked on your amp. You know.
And somebody very well known, actually. He used to own Buddha amps. Now he owns what I believe is called East Amps. His name is Jeff Bober.
East Coast, right? Like East Coast Amplifier or something?
I think you just call it East.
East Amplifier?
I believe.
Okay.
He used to work for Premier Guitar Magazine, I believe. He's no longer working for him. You could write in and he would answer all your questions. So I definitely would think a lot of people would know who Jeff is.
He's fantastic.
He's amazing.
Yeah, as you can tell from the sound of it.
Yeah, I had him buy some for me and just make sure everything was okay, because this is actually my second Legacy. I got it from Guitar Center online, which, as you can see, it doesn't have the Legacy logo, which I don't like. But I'm trying to find one. If anybody has one, you let me know.
Absolutely.
I'll buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and anybody, I definitely would recommend sending any of your stuff to Jeff. He's
fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about you still have an enormous struggle with power.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's going on with the power and why it's an issue. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. Um, so I regrettably sold my first Legacy. It was a big mistake. And like a couple months later, I was just going through from amp to amp, and it was just sounding weird. Nothing was sounding right. No matter what amp I would bring home, it just didn't sound right. And then when I finally was able to get another Legacy, I brought it home. It was the same thing. It just didn't sound like Legacy to me. And I've tried tons of stuff, and what I've landed on right now, I actually have two products from Furman. The first one is a rack mount. I believe it's called the Furman 8x2 power conditioner. Okay. And the one I have, it's on the floor over here. Probably can't see it. It's a Furman. I believe it's just called. If you look up, it's the Furman power conditioner power station. And I think it works great. It definitely helps filter out noise, as most power conditioners will do, and I also believe it gives you steady enough power. I still kind of have a problem. I'm personally thinking about getting, it's called the AmpRx Brown Box. It's actually a voltage regulator, and I believe it will end any problems with that. And if anybody has any suggestions about that, I would love to know.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that when you play your rig in the studio, in your studio at the house, and you're jamming, you have a voltage or amperage problem where you're not getting a consistent level feed to your rig?
Yes, I believe it's like this amp's designed to get 120, to operate at 120 volts, and I was playing the other night, and all of a sudden the amp got way louder. It was unbelievably louder, and there was this uncontrollable bass. I had to turn the mids all the way down. It was very bizarre, and it just wasn't sounding like it should, and it's just very bizarre. And I actually haven't had a problem really since I had the Furman, and now I brought it over here, and it's
playing great. It sounds great here.
Sounds like it should.
So if there's a problem, it's not necessarily the rig. You could be having a voltage regulator's problem coming from the power source itself.
Yes.
Not feeding you a steady enough current
right.
to keep a consistent draw on the power while you're playing the entire time, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's like the next hurdle for you to really go that distance to make sure it's rectified.
Yeah.
Okay.
And oddly enough, it doesn't affect the clean channel too much. For some reason, it's the overdrive channel. Every time. I don't know if it draws more power or exactly what it does. Again, if anybody could, help fill me in about that, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely, be a great conversation to start, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think like for now, that's really about it. And why don't you just play us something again real quick so we can hear something else? Yeah. A few different riffs, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Oh, and also wanted to mention that it takes pedals very well.
Oh, okay. So the head itself, the Carvin head, does really well with pedals.
Yes.
Integrating pedals. Okay.
So I'll just demonstrate that a little bit, and then I'll do a little bit more of the overdrive channel, and just close it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.